Venom, the last is the ending to this 6-year trilogy of Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock and Venom. In this conclusion of the trilogy, Eddie is brought back to his own universe after the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, and they are on the run as they realize that Null, who in this movie is voiced by Andy Serkis, is leading a lot of Xeno-like symbiotes after them due to a MacGuffin that they have the possession of. Chasing after them is Dr. Payne, who's played by Juno Temple, and a military officer, Rex Strickland, who's played by Chiwetel Ejiofor. Also in the movie, back from Venom, Let There Be Carnage, is Detective Mulligan, played by Stephen Graham, who also has a piece of the symbiote inside of him, and he is being looked at by the doctors at Area 51. Also in the movie is Rhys Ifans, playing the character of Martin, someone who has a family, and they're on a road trip because they believe in aliens, and they want to see one up close. The film is 1 hour and 49 minutes and is PG-13. Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new review here on Max Talks Movies. My name is Max Denberg. Today we're talking about Venom, The Last Dance. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you're notified when my new videos drop here on the channel. I do movie and TV show reviews, out-of-theater reactions, movie franchise rankings, and every Tuesday, a box office breakdown show. If you like any one of those things, please subscribe and ring that bell so notified when those videos drop. Comment down below. What are your thoughts of Venom The Last Dance? Have you seen it? What is your ranking of the Venom films, and where do these films rank for you in the Spider-Man films? If you have not seen it, tell me, are you just done with the Venom franchise, and are you just taking a break with Sony until they can make some better content? And also, please like the video. So this is the second of 3 Sony Spider-Man adjacent movies this year. Honestly, it kicked off with a horrible film in Madam Web, and the year is wrapping up in December with Kraven the Hunter. For me, with the Venom films, the first one to me is kind of like a mixed bag where it's probably not a really good movie, but I do have enough fun with Venom 1. Venom 2, I actually find to be my favorite of the trilogy, even though it's still not probably a great movie. I still have fun enough time with its 90-minute runtime, which it felt fresh and something different than the first film. So I actually am not a hater of the Venom franchise. Tom Hardy is one of my favorite actors. I do have a review of Venom Let There Be Carnage here on this channel, so you can definitely watch that video. But let's get into my thoughts on Venom The Last Dance. And for me, this is easily, for me, the weakest film of this trilogy. I know a lot of the publications are, this is the best film of the Venom trilogy. And I think this is actually the worst film of the Venom trilogy for multiple reasons. Now, what keeps this movie as watchable as it can be is the bromance between Eddie and Venom, which is obviously Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock and Tom Hardy also voicing Venom. Tom Hardy is a very likable, charming lead actor who also knows exactly what franchise that he is in. His facial motions, his voice, his mannerisms are very funny, and I can enjoy some even awful parts in this movie because I really like Tom Hardy. I'm excited now that hopefully maybe this part of his career is behind him and he can move on to do some bigger and better things. But I've actually enjoyed his take on both Eddie Brock and more really Venom. The bromance between Eddie and Venom is easily the best part of this entire trilogy, and it's easily the best part of this third installment. When the movie heavily focuses on the bromance, and that's when the movie I think is at its best and funniest. The problem is there's actually a lot going on in this movie. And very similar to a lot of other Sony Spider-Man adjacent movies, this movie feels like it was just cooked up in the post-production editing room on how to kind of slobber this movie together, because the side characters are some of the most one-note side characters of any film you'll see this year. Juno Temple plays a doctor who they for 30 seconds in the movie try to explain to you what her background is, and it didn't work. Chiwetel Ejiofor is a great actor, but sadly, his character gets easily the worst dialogue to deliver in the entire film. It's not a good performance, obviously, but the dialogue is awful. And I can't blame Chiwetel because he has proven himself to be a very quality actor over the last 20 years. And I've seen him be far better in other movies, including other comic book movies. Rhys Ifans was having a lot of fun in this movie. I actually enjoyed his chemistry with Eddie and Venom. Sorry, with Eddie. A major problem for me from a story level is it doesn't feel like Eddie or Venom are doing anything in the first two acts. Like, it just kind of feels like they're just like walking along, and then once the third act happens, then they're kind of thrown into the story. Obviously, they're being chased by something about a MacGuffin, but it just feels like Eddie and Venom are like not like it's so frustrating. They just don't feel like they're doing anything for the first hour of this film. They have comedy beats, they're killing people. They have even there's a Venom dance number in this movie. And then once they're brought into the third act, then it feels like they're finally inserted into the main story of the movie. Because what I'll say is the third act is pretty awesome. From a Venom fan, from a comic book fan, from a major Spider-Man fan, I really enjoyed the last 30 minutes of the movie. That was the type of action I wanted. It was the type of comedy I wanted. I think it looked pretty good with what happened in the third act of the movie. I thought it finally had first time the franchise felt like it kind of had some stakes. But while the third act can be a lot of fun, the first two acts are kind of a slog to get through, where we're going back and forth between Eddie and Venom doing absolutely nothing. One note military person, one note doctor, just in the lab for the whole movie. They're never outside the lab. The Vegas sequence, I'm not sure why that's in the movie. This is a weird film for me because I'm probably not gonna, this is for me not one of the worst films of the entire year. It's not even close to being as bad as Madam Web or Morbius to me because again, like Madam Web and Morbius, those type of films had very, as a Spider-Man fan, offensive things in them. To me, as a Spider-Man fan, this movie is not trying to do that. It is just trying to have a good time for an hour and 50 minutes. And all I'll say is I did have a fun, I had moments of having fun in this movie where I wasn't being hit over the head by these force-fed Spider-Man tie-ins like the last two Sony films. So on that end, I guess that's a plus. But for me, Venom: The Last Dance is easily the weakest of the Venom trilogy. While I enjoyed Tom Hardy as his character, and I really did have a good time with the third act of the movie. The first two acts feels like just nothing is going on. You don't care about any other character in this movie outside of Eddie. Everyone's pretty one note, and I wish there was a little bit of like any story going on in the first hour of the film. So I'm going to give Venom: The Last Dance a 2 out of 5 stars. I am going to go 36% for Venom: The Last Dance. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.